They took surprisingly long, but Microsoft finally incorporated the To-Do app into Outlook. I remember about 20 years ago that Outlook, when you loaded it up, there was this tasks area, and I used to use it. So early in my career, 20 years ago, a place to add things to remind you what to do. As the years have passed, I felt like the features in Outlook, that tasks facility, weren't very good. And I started looking around. By about 2007, I found something called Remember the Milk, and it's still around today and it's still very good, but I decided not to use it after about 4 years. But it was very good and introduced me to this idea of a really good task management app. So let me go through very quickly the history of the apps that I've used. So first of all, it was Outlook, the tasks facility. I used that probably from 2004 to about 2007, I think. So that was a great way to stay on top of my work. Then 2007, I discovered Remember the Milk. It might have been 2008, but around there. And I used Remember the Milk from 2007 probably to 2011, I think. So 2010, 2011. It was really good. What I really liked about it is on an Android device, I would see all of the reminders and the tasks and projects I'm working on, so on the front page, so on a widget. And then when I get to my laptop, it would synchronize. So if I added something, it would be on the laptop and vice versa. And I thought this was wonderful. I didn't have the ability to do that on Outlook. That was what was missing. So Remember the Milk was going really well. Then I decided to move from Remember the Milk to the next one, which was Todoist. So I used Todoist for a couple of years. It was very good. And then from Todoist, I think I went back to Remember the Milk, but at some point I eventually moved to TickTick, and I used TickTick for a very long time, probably 2015 to about 2022, I think, somewhere around there. So TickTick, fantastic. Used it for many years, really liked it. And it probably actually till last year, I was still using TickTick. So in 2004 now, 2003, yes, I was still using TickTick all the way to 2003. In 2022, I started to take Apple devices more seriously. So I'd been using MacBooks since about 2013, but I was kind of like, I'm still an Android device user. I still use Windows here and there. But I think by about 2021, 2022, I just went, in my mind, I just went, you know what? It's better if you have to use a MacBook for work, it's better to use an iPhone, it's better to use an Apple Watch. And I just kind of went all in on Apple, except I was using TickTick. So some time passed and I kept comparing TickTick with Apple reminders, feeling like TickTick is so much better. But then Apple introduced a couple of features, and finally, just this year actually, in my mind, Apple reminders is as good like TickTick, really good. So I use Apple reminders with no regret, and I've given up on TickTick. Given up is the wrong word. I've denounced it, and I've focused on Apple, because the reason why, by the way, is that Apple reminders works better with the Apple Watch. It works better with Siri, but it's not otherwise as feature rich as TickTick. And the good thing about TickTick is it works across, Apple, Windows, Android. So that's okay. But if I only use Apple devices, so Apple reminders works really well for me. I would be very happy to move back to TickTick or Outlook. So now we're getting to the point, after I've given you my history of experiences of using these different task management apps. Apple acquired one of the competitors of Todoist and TickTick and so on, called Wunderlist, I think it was. Wanderlust. It comes from the name Wanderlust. I guess that's where they got their inspiration from. And I think the idea originally was it's a good app for preparing for your holidays. So I think maybe. So it was called Wanderlist, and Microsoft acquired it. But Microsoft by this time also had their own built app called Microsoft To Do, which wasn't very good. Actually, maybe I'm being a bit harsh. It was okay. It was okay. But Wunderlist was significantly better, and it was good like the way Todoist is good, and Remember the Milk and TickTick. It was good like that. You know, like a startup had created this thing. Microsoft came along and said, we'll have that. They bought it. And for a little while, they were running Microsoft To Do and Wunderlist side by side, until they eventually copied all of the features from Wunderlist into Microsoft To Do, and then they closed Wunderlist and they just got rid of it. So then Microsoft To Do, let's close this thing here. Microsoft To Do for about 5 years now, I feel like, has been operating as an app on the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, and it's really good. And it's gradually becoming integrated with certain things like Microsoft Planner and Microsoft Teams. But when you were in Outlook, because that was in my mind, I was thinking, this is how I got introduced to this sort of software 20 years ago, that in Outlook, when you press that, you've got your email, you've got your calendar, there was always this tasks option. When you press tasks, for the last 2 or 3 years, it would open up a separate product, Microsoft To Do. So now I'm getting to the point of this video, which is Microsoft have finally incorporated To Do inside Outlook. And that's what I'm sharing on my screen. So if you're not watching this on a computer, when you're in Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, you typically your email is probably your primary location. Then you have your calendar, and now it's got things like Copilot, I think groups, things like this, various other apps. But there's this check mark, and when you press on it, it stays within Outlook. It doesn't open up another app, and you can from here adjust your tasks and assign them either to yourself or to other people, and it automatically does the same thing on your mobile version or the one you've got installed on your iPad or the one you've got installed on your Surface laptop or whatever it might be. I hazard a guess that many people are not using this, which is a real shame because it's a fantastically powerful tool for being productive and staying on top of the things that you need to do. It's very quick to add tasks in there. It's very quick to get an overview of what you need to do today. And the thing that may tempt me back from using Apple reminders to using Microsoft is that I like the way that when you receive emails, you can drag the emails into your to-do, and then the emails, you essentially archive them. And then you can reorganize and prioritize them in a much better sort of view. You've got like this Kanban option. So if you're interested in seeing that in action, I'll make another video about that in the future. But for now, I really just wanted to highlight that To Do has been incorporated into Outlook finally. It's both in the web version, which I'm sharing on my screen, and in the app version that I've got installed on my Mac. I hope you enjoy being productive with business technology like I do. See you next time.